There we go. Test, test. Hey, Cobwebs Caverns, how's it going, man? Is the audio coming in all right? And season's greetings to you as well, my friend. Once again, I have no axe to grind today. I'm sorry, but I just really... The season is upon us. Hey, Sharon Gregory, welcome. The season is upon us, and I've been busy and haven't gotten any... I want to wish everybody a Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas, everybody. Can they see me? Oh, they can see me waddling back there.
Yeah, the delay's on.
Yeah. Merry Christmas, everybody, or Happy Holidays, or Kwanzaa, Hanukkah, whatever. It's all holidays and it's all beautiful. I have to go to a baptism at 5, so I won't be here when you get done here.
Okay, doll.
Get your fish something nice for Christmas.
Hey, John Williams, welcome to the stream, and yes, happy Saturday. Ho, ho, ho. Welcome to the stream, Corona Ken. I'm hoping that I don't have an issue like I did last week. I think I finally narrowed it down to a V-Stag. Welcome to the stream, man. I think I finally narrowed it down to a Windows update that appeared suddenly. I had some stuff running in the background. Hey, Big E's. Welcome to the stream, man. So, hopefully, I've got nothing running in the background today. This computer that I run is an Asus box that I bought at Best Buy. Okay, John is saying the audio sounds a lot better than it has in the past. Huh. Well, I'm not sure exactly why. It's the same Logitech HD webcam that I've got, and I promise you it's the same computer. Maybe XSplit. XSplit is the program that I run. Hey, DPK Fish, welcome to the stream. When I went and bought this computer, I have always built my own computers since the 80s. But because of that, I've always stayed in the best bang for the buck area, which is usually about 3 or 4 iterations behind the bleeding edge. So I decided this time that I was just going to go buy a stock computer yeah, John, I agree. Asus. I've got an Asus monitor, an Asus keyboard, and an Asus 10 box now. So, but the one that I bought has the i7 6700 chip in it, but it has a built-in video card. You know, it's built on the board itself, so that's where they saved money, was the video card. No, this is a desktop. I've never been a laptop person. I've always preferred to have stuff that I could work on myself, that I could open it up and upgrade it, or laptops are like watches to me. I just really don't get the... Yeah, John, that's why I finally bought it. I found this thing for $800, and I thought to myself that I would not be able to buy the components that are in it for $800. So, I just felt like that I'd go ahead and get it. It's also got a hybrid terabyte drive with a 8 gig solid state drive in front of it, and the darn thing is really quick. So I've been impressed with it. I guess I've had it going on a year now, and I've been really impressed with it. The only issue that it has is that if I game really hard, the video card kind of backs up on me, and if anything happens at the same time that I'm trying to do something like streaming this stream, then it will cause it to cough. Yeah, this one's got 2 USB ports on the front of it. I've been really happy with the machine. I really have. I mean, this is not me trying to get people to go out and run out and buy Asus computers, but Sharon's got an echo on the laptop. There may be 2 instances of the audio running, Sharon, maybe, because that's what I've found on XSplit, the program that I use to broadcast with, is that if there's an echo in my program, it's because I've got 2 instances going of the video or the audio, so that they're echoing. But once again, I have no real axe to grind this video. I've got no serious topic. Mainly, I just wanted to kind of talk around Christmas, Fishmas, what you guys are planning to do or add to your tanks for this Christmas. Christmas is a time when we usually get stuff that we wouldn't normally actually be able to afford to get. Like for me this year, it's been my 100mm Takina lens, which is basically my let's trash the cults. Geez, John. It's not hard to trash the cults. The cults suck so bad. I've literally quit watching them because it's pointless. I hope next year that they'll be better. Let's put it that way. That's my wish for 2018, is that the cults can actually put together an offensive line, and so if you guys want to talk about the things that you're planning for either Christmas or the New Year that you'd like to, yes, Cobwebs. John and I are both from Indiana, so DPK says he'll be waiting for the Three Kings to get something for his tank. Corona Kent says, by the way, I have been enjoying your Perfect Side videos, brought back many fond memories. Well, thanks, Corona Ken. My viewership of those is very tiny, and I understand if people who are here for fish stuff have an issue with me doing vinyl record videos, but it's just something that has drawn me in. I've been watching all these vinyl community people do videos about records and records they've bought and their collections, and I've got a huge vinyl collection. So I say huge. It's pretty large, and I've been collecting for a lot of years. So I just felt like I should interject my thoughts in the community and maybe show them some stuff that they haven't seen. Now, they show me stuff I haven't seen continuously because most of them are buying newer stuff or stuff in genres that I'm just not really that well versed in. You know, when you get into metal or really hardcore punk or a lot of the newer stuff, I just really haven't. But I have a pretty firm grasp on everything that happened from the late 60s until the mid 2000s, I guess. So that's when I was still buying records, although I have bought a couple since. But I hope you guys will forgive me an occasional foray into the vinyl community stuff, because it's something I really love. But I realize I'm running a fish channel, so I'm going to try to keep it to a minimum. And those of you that enjoy both, thank you very much for your support. Nobody has to spend any of their time with me. I fully well recognize that. Okay, let's see. Cobweb Cavern says no plans over Xmas with fish. It will be mostly over my other hobby, scale model making. Scale models are really cool, Cobwebs. That's something I did when I was much younger. John Williams says I've got a couple of nice Denon TTs I probably need to part with. DPK Fish says, but I'm definitely getting too many Sun canisters for extra filter on my 2-tank, and running 2 sponge filters in each. Smokey, what are you doing? You want to let the people see how big you've gotten? Yeah, well, come here. Show everybody how large you've gotten. Yes, show them what a monster cat you are. Smokey is growing like a weed. He's now a teenager and acting himself up. Can you give everybody a Merry Christmas purr? Huh? Can you give them a Merry Christmas purr? Ouch. 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 Down you go, buddy. DPK says, miss the old record players for sure. Yeah, I've got quite a sound system, but the combination of high fidelity, loud music and fish tanks is not a good one, because if I turn my stereo up really loud, like I like to listen to my stereo, it will vibrate every fish tank in the house. My fish all come to the front of the tank like there's an earthquake going on or something. So it's not something that I do a lot anymore. I've got a Marantz quad amp from the 70s, and I've got some Serwin Vega high energy design speakers and some great big Polks. And they will rock the house, literally vibrate every fish tank in the house. It took me a while to figure that out when I was first coming up, that when I would crank my stereo listening to something that, yeah, Corona Kid's right. It will literally make the water ripple. I've got the 4270, John. And the main issue with old Marantzes, they put out incredible sound, but when they were built, the best capacitors that were on the market that they could use in those systems were not very good. So I spent a great deal of money in the 90s to have all of the capacitors in my Marantz amp replaced with black Fosgate uh, capacitors, which are a huge upgrade from the old capacitors. And it slightly changed the sound of my Marantz. It's a much more sharp sound, slightly electronic sharpness sound, but it just filled in all the areas where the old one seemed to go. Hey Priscilla, welcome to the stream. Happy holidays to you too. I've been eagerly following all of your extreme publicity that you're getting lately, and it is well deserved. I really enjoyed. Hey Dank Tanks, welcome to the stream. I really enjoyed the tour that got done in your fish room. It really made me feel like I got to know you better, Priscilla. So kudos, girl. You go. Hey, Doug of the North, welcome to the stream. John, you're exactly right. And the guy that did it said to me, he said, Dwayne, this is going to make it less warm. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave the old setup in the loudness button. And so if you push the loudness button, you go right back into that golden, warm sounding Marantz sound. So I really like the combination, but it will crank, crank, crank. Yes, Priscilla, I seriously enjoyed that. That made me feel like, we've had a lot of interaction and I've seen you around a lot, but that tour of your fish room really made me feel like I understood you as a person, that I was welcomed into your home, that whole stuff, Priscilla, and it was great. Miss Kitchel is in the kitchen making Holyoke cake, which is basically war cake. You can look up war cake, but it's a slight variation on war cake, and that's something that her family has done for a long time. Hey Vals, welcome to the stream. Basically, we're talking about whatever you guys want to talk about, as usual, per usual here. DPK said the old way to listen to music, that's the best way to listen to music. No worry about battery dying. Yeah, I'm a huge fan of the functionality of the new formats, CDs and MP3 files and FLAC files. All that stuff is great. I've got tons of music that I would never have any other way, because a lot of it was never put on CD or put on record. People's old bootleg tapes were the only way it got saved. So I've got a lot of music on my computer. I probably got 1,000 CDs, and that's the way I keep up with the new stuff, the stuff that's just coming out, and fill in my collection is with CDs rather than buying Priscilla says, I will try to make more videos this upcoming year, but more art related, not fish related. That sounds great, Priscilla. All of us can learn from your artistic abilities and from the way you've studied and learned how to do art. Yes, I've still got some 8-track tapes, and I've still got an 8-track tape player. I've got an old one that came out of my car that I'm a pack rat. I have stuff left over from 40 years ago that I probably should have thrown away 35 years ago. But I've still got an 8-track tape. Corona Ken says, purchased 12 very young Corydoras decori last week. Any thoughts on an attractive food I don't see them eating? Corona Ken, you've been in this hobby a long time too, so you are aware that new fish in our tanks often take a long time to start getting in the swing of things and eating. They're basically adjusting to their new surroundings. And Cobweb Cavern says rare Cory bloodworms are always my go-to for fussy eaters, and I would say that's true. I would also say that live blackworms from a really good source. You know, you got to be really careful about where you get blackworms from, because they're basically sewage worms. So you've got to be careful. You know, back in the 80s and stuff, they sold a lot of them that were just nasty. They'd kill your fish with all the diseases that they had. But nowadays you can get blackworms, live blackworms. I know there's a bunch of places in California that sell them, and they will ship. So you can get blackworms that are really good. Hey, Mike Kenneth, welcome to the stream. Yeah, they can be difficult to come by, but Corys love things that live in the substrate and that they can dig down into it and get. That's their favorite thing to eat. Hey, Lucas, welcome to the stream, man. Here, I better fix that. Lucas, I hope you and your family have a very Merry Christmas. And I hope that everybody that's in our fish family, everybody that's in our YouTube family, and all of you take some time this year, to spend a little time recognizing what this season represents. You know, you don't have to be religious to appreciate Christmas. You don't have to be, you know, devout or pure to appreciate a season that back in the olden times was a season where we were all jammed together in small spaces, because that was how we managed to keep warm. And it created a very close family situation. And a lot of the holidays that come out of winter, and I know in some places it is now summer, but for the northern hemisphere and for European places, and for that matter for North American places, we are in the cold season. Yeah, cobwebs. It was a pagan holiday to start with. Christianity had a great way of coming in and turning other people's holidays into Christian holidays to make them feel like they were still connected to their old ways. So, hey, Coop, chef in the house. Anybody that's in my stream, I hope you understand and are aware that each of the people that show up in this place, you know, there's very few people that come to this stream, and I like the fact that it's a close-knit group. You know, it would be wonderful to have 15 million subscribers and to be able to live off of my YouTube stuff, but that's not what I'm interested in. I'm much more happy having a smaller group, a more close-knit group, where everybody feels like they're part of a family and that they all understand that they can get their questions answered, and that people will pay attention to them, and conversely that they should pay attention to each other. And Lucas is saying, I agree, it's a good reason to spend some time with your loved ones, no matter faith. that's what I hope for each of you this Christmas Fishmas season, is that you manage to spend a little time just appreciating what the season brings, the opportunities that it brings, and 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 that all of the money stuff and all of the religious stuff and all of the other garbage, polarized politics, whatever you want to think about, that we manage to spend a little time just appreciating the closeness of family or friends or our immediate locals, so that we can come away from this season with a good feeling inside about everybody else and ourselves included. You know, it's just I just feel like the season's gotten run over with a bulldozer a million times, and there's just not much left of the feelings that it should engender. We should gain warm feelings and feelings of closeness to our fellow human beings. And instead, it's all about money and advertising and pressure and madness, and all that stuff doesn't have anything to do with the season. That's all advertising and money and religion and politics. None of those things have anything to do with Christmas season. And I hope that you guys can spend a little time with a clear mind, just looking at this season for what it really is. And that's my wish for everyone for Christmas. Not that you get the latest bells and whistles and the most expensive widget. None of those things are really what's important. What's important is our family. Hey Susan, welcome to the stream. We're kind of wandering all over the field here. Lucas says society keeps us way too busy these days, especially with our economic system. And I agree wholeheartedly, Lucas. We just need to stop spinning for a little while and just settle into our center and recognize what's actually there around us and appreciate it for once. Yeah, DPK Fish says so true. I remember when I was a kid, was more interactive. Personally, we didn't get distracted as much. Time is so precious. It really is. You don't recognize how fast time goes by, how fast our family goes by, how fast Lucas is saying that's why I love this hobby, brings us back to nature. We better start appreciating nature for what it is, because if you listen to Heiko Blair and his clarion call to save nature, you will begin to understand that there may not be that much nature out there for us to save pretty soon. Between drying up and being polluted or being mined over, it's the natural habitats our fish come from are being destroyed really rapidly. So those are the kinds of things. Hey JH Aquatics, welcome to the stream. How's everything down in the islands? I hope that someone in this government of this country recognizes the extreme failure of us to aid fellow Americans in the islands that were hit, that going on 4 months after that hurricane went through, there is still not power nor water to most of the people there. I feel like we're being drug into third world status. I hope things get better for you, man. I hope someone wakes up Doug says, Dwayne, I just love having you chat in my ears while I am busy. I like your style. I have no style. I'm just me, Doug. That's all you're ever going to get when you listen or watch me. It's not very polished. It's got tons of flaws. It's got a lot of experience just because I'm old. But that's what you're going to get, Doug. Sorry if people want something different. There's lots of other channels out there, and I'm sure they can find them. I'm just not polished. JH Aquatics, and for those of you that don't recognize him, this is Fish Fam News. This is our friend from the islands that I had the great honor to meet and talk to at Aquatic Experience. That's one of the wonderful things about going to things like Aquatic Experience or club meetings or conventions, is that you get a chance to meet people from all over the world whose interests and desires are aligned with your own. Yeah, JH, but getting through it is not the same thing as Americans taking care of Americans. I mean, I think America has always been mindful of the whole world's situation and tried to help other people in other countries too. But it's something entirely different when a hurricane hits Texas and wipes out Texas, and Americans pitch in to help Americans. But now here we are with a hurricane hitting the islands full of American citizens, and it's like they don't exist. You know, I just find that, I just don't know how to wrap my head around that. JH says, I'm getting my studio and internet together. The news is coming. Yeah, having to stream from your car is pretty rough. Sounds like my cats are fighting. We have 2 cats now. One was a cat that we've had for about 5 years. That's Lizzie. She's been in a couple of my videos. She's a very tiny Maine Coon mix, and she hates other cats. And we've had Smokey now for about 2 months, and she hates him. He's another cat in her house, and she hates him. Anyway, I don't mean to just ramble on, although I do just ramble on. I just hope, you know, my main point was that, yeah, Vals, this is true. And I don't mean to direct this stream into politics. We really do better when we avoid all politics or religious or any kind of serious discussion when we're talking about fish. Have you left yet, honey?
No, dear.
Oh,
I'm
okay.
looking at 5.
Okay. You look nice.
Thank you.
I think we kind of skipped Corona Ken's question, or I kind of skipped it. I really think that Corydoras, rare Corydoras species, take quite a while to get used to their surroundings and then begin eating, and that they are more, well, Cobwebs, I was thinking she just came back. I think Corydoras that are tank raised will be much easier to deal with, but Corydoras that are from the wild and are rare species have have less foods in common with what we're going to be feeding. So it's going to take them a while to get hungry enough to try the kinds of foods that we will be feeding them. And so I just think patience. I always prescribe patience in this hobby for taking care of our fish. That let patience be your largest. Yes, Priscilla, you can hire me as Santa next year. Ho, ho, ho. I was wearing my red hoodie to the store about 3 months ago, and this little girl was sitting in her mother's shopping basket, and her eyes were the size of pie plates. She was looking at me, and I noticed that. So I looked over at her and I winked and I said, ho, ho, ho. And she got a smile on her face about a mile wide. She couldn't see my dark hair because I had my hoodie on. All she could see was a red hoodie and this beard. Priscilla, I recognize that I owe you some stickers. I hope that all of you have checked out Jadron Aquatics and his sticker printing mania, which I find really, really amazing that someone else in the fish fam is helping us have a tactile fish fam reference of stickers. And I promised Priscilla that I would send her some stickers, and I still have your address from my fish art, so I'll get that off to you sometime, Priscilla. It's just it's been pretty hectic here with all the Christmas stuff and all the falderall going on, so I've just kind of been in stasis here for a while. Okay. Yes, I hope you guys will all cross-reference each other. Yeah, Corona Ken, my advice is patience. But I hope that you guys will all cross-reference each other and check out each other's pages if you haven't already, because there are some excellent people in here, people who have a great deal to offer, and I just hope that you all check out each other. Everybody's wishing each other Merry Christmases, and I'll drink to that. I don't know if you can see this, but this is actually Dr. Pepper 10. They've quit making it, but my Phil spotted some at the grocery store the other day that John Williams doesn't have a channel, but he has 5 subscribers. That's awesome, man. You're well on your way. JH says he's rendering a do-it-yourself water video right now. I guess he'll post it tomorrow. Looking forward to that, man. Water alarm. So to tell you if your tanks run dry or if they're overflowing. You need to make some of those for Lucas. I really liked watching Lucas's videos, and the whole time he was filming the video, he was filling tanks, looking over his shoulder, teasing him about it overflowing. Good times. Oh, I haven't done my tip, my random tip. I keep forgetting to do this. That'll give us something to talk about. This is once again from 500 Ways to Be a Better Freshwater Fish Keeper. Tip of the week, number 446 in the Better Maintenance selection. Check water circulation after maintenance. During maintenance, it is easy to knock the return flows from filters and power heads accidentally. Big fish sometimes do this too. The resulting change of water flow direction can affect surface agitation and circulation. For example, you may notice that the tank is not heating up to the correct temperature. This may be happening because a small pocket of water in a dead spot is being warmed, thus turning off the heater stat, while the rest of the tank fails to benefit fully. So note the ideal direction of water returns and keep them that way. And that's a really good point. You know, we need to do regular maintenance on our fish tanks to keep the water parameters and their healthiness going. And in doing so, we change a lot of the things. We change a lot of the things that are happening in our tank that we may not have noticed were going on before. So if you move a rock, if you move a piece of driftwood, if you add a plant or take a plant out, you're affecting the water flow, the water circulation in your tank. And depending on how you heat your tanks, whether you just use ambient room temperature or whether you use heaters in a tank, it can really affect the way the tank water flow circulates the heated water around an in-tank heater. And we're getting to the time of year where this gets more important, where our fish are dependent on either our heaters or our ambient room temperatures to maintain a certain temperature range that they are comfortable with, that they are used to. Fish do not adjust well to sudden changes. The time that your fish are going to suffer the most, other than disease or starvation, is when there is a sudden change in the tank, when suddenly the temperature of the water in the tank goes from 80 to 60 over a period of a couple of hours. They may be able to literally survive that 60-degree temperature if they were slowly acclimated to that lower temperature over a period of a week, maybe. They would be fine with the 60 degrees. But the fact that the water goes suddenly from one temperature to a great deal lower is really difficult for them to adjust their bodies to, adjust their systems to. And so if you do aquarium maintenance and completely rearrange your tank, you can affect, one, the aeration that occurs at the surface level of your tank, where your tank water gives off gases to the atmosphere and absorbs gases from the atmosphere. And in this case, it's mostly carbon dioxide being gassed off, and it's mostly oxygen being absorbed into the water. The amount of oxygen that is in your tank water is really critical. So if you get in there and knock a wave maker in a slightly different direction, and suddenly there's less surface agitation, and you have an overstocked tank, DPK Fish Aquariums asks, I always wonder, Dwayne, do cooler water temperatures also increase pH and oxygen levels? Cooler water will be able to absorb more oxygen molecules than warmer water will. Hey, Rob Hicks, welcome to the stream. Merry Christmas to you, too. Oxygen molecules are affected by heat just like all other molecules are. They move faster, and in that faster movement, they're less likely to stay absorbed in water itself. So if you have fish gasping at the surface, you can actually turn off your heaters or cool down your room a little bit to slowly cool down the water in the tank, and it will increase the oxygen in the water just from the surface exchange. As to pH varying with temperature, I've not seen any work in that area. I've not seen any scientific, it doesn't mean it's not out there, but I have never seen any scientific data showing whether it does or it doesn't, which makes me think that it probably does not, but that I could well be completely wrong on that. pH stands for per hydrogen. It is the amount of hydrogen molecules in the water. So it stands to reason that cooler water temperatures would allow more absorption or retention of hydrogen molecules too, but I'm not sure if the pH would fluctuate as quickly and as discernibly in a cooler situation. You know, maybe over a period of weeks, cooler water temperature might raise pH. Corona Ken, have a very Merry Christmas, man. Thank you so much for being a part of our fish family. And you have a good rest of the weekend and a fine holiday season. And Cobweb Caverns, you're right. Colder water holds more saturated O2. Warmth increases motion in molecules and in nature, and it will cause gassing off to occur faster. So DPK, I can't honestly answer your question as to per hydrogen, but it stands to reason that it would increase the amount of hydrogen in your water because of the cooler water being slower and able to retain more hydrogen. But I don't think that the measurement of oxygen in the water will show you much quicker higher oxygen, but I don't think that pH will show as quickly on a metering system that we have handy that it is increasing the total pH of the tank. This is one of the reasons why Lucas and many of us recommend that you guys also use TDS, total dissolved solid meters, as Cobweb Cavern. If you lower the temperature in your house, it won't make a bit of difference in how fast you fart. It would make much more difference if you laid down or if you stood up. those would have much more effect on your bilabial fricative count. John Williams says, I accidentally filled my fancy goldfish tank one time right up to the glass cover and didn't notice it. The goldfish were all gasping at the surface the next morning. Yeah, it's... Anyone that understands the surface exchange of oxygen into our tank water will begin to recognize that when you go to look for a fish tank, depending on the fish that you intend to keep in that tank, you need to look at the surface area of the tank more than any other part of that tank. You can think about how much room you have for that fish tank to fit in your house, but the thing that you need to be most observant of is the amount of square foot surface area that is in that tank that you are buying, because that will dictate how many fish can live in the water in that tank without added aeration going on. DPK says, now I learned by fishing in cool water, especially in brackish fish, tend to go into a saying called lockjaw, which is referred to a fish that will not feed till they acclimate to the cold water conditions. Yeah. We as aquarists need to spend more time being aware of what goes on in nature. You know, Rob Hicks is saying temperature will have a measurable yet very slight effect on the pH of water. Yeah, I would probably agree with that in theory. I don't know this, so I can't say for certain, but I understand the physics of heat causing faster motion in molecules and of a cooler temperature causing them to slow down. But I think while DPK is talking about cool water fishing being a situation where they aren't biting because the water's gotten colder and they're trying to get used to the colder water temperatures, I think we as aquarists need to, in general, become much more aware of the conditions that fish find themselves in nature so that we can try to backtrack that to the fish in our aquariums so that we can try to match our aquarium situation to what fish will find naturally in nature a lot more. Let's just talk about this surface area oxygenation issue. If I'm catching a fish that lives in a river that's 40 foot across and 100 miles long, think of the amount of surface exchange area that river represents to that fish that's living in that water. You know, even if you're talking about a small stream that's 4 foot across and 200 foot long or half a mile long, think about the surface area that is represented by that water mass and how much oxygen is being pushed into the water by the exchange. And then take a 20-gallon tank and stick it in that water and pick it up and look at the surface area of that 20-gallon tank. I'm running an 110-gallon tank, and I have about 25 fish in it that are all in the neighborhood of about an inch long. And the reason why is because it is an oceanic 110, and it is much narrower than most 110-gallon tanks are. The amount of surface area is highly reduced in relation to how deep the tank is, and it is a much smaller surface area, which requires much more effort to agitate the surface area to increase oxygen. And so you can say that my 110-gallon tank is completely understocked, and I would disagree with you and tell you that it is very near to the actual stocking levels that the surface area of the tank allows. Now, I have aeration in the tank, secondary aeration. I have an output of a canister filter shooting straight across the top of the water in the tank and hitting the front of the tank above the water line, so that it jams air into the water that it then pushes down into the tank. I have a 100-gallon hang-on back filter, 100-gallon rated, that is also pushing water into the tank. And I have a very large wave maker that I have pointed from deeper into the water up to the surface of the water, and I bounce it off of the front of the tank so that it then bounces off the back of the tank. And yeah, as far as I know, I'll be streaming, God willing, and the creek don't rise. Is there something coming I don't know about? Cobwebs? Anyway, I just want you people that are new to fish keeping, that really don't have a lot of experience with the way this hobby works, with the way what we buy affects what we keep or what we can keep, to understand that if you go into a fish store and you look at a 50-gallon shorty that's only 12 inches high, it will hold a great many more fish than a 55-gallon have. Oh, I'll be streaming. So I just want you to think in terms of surface area when you go to a fish store and start looking at tanks. The first thing you should look at, besides whether the tank's going to actually hold water, besides whether it's well constructed, I think you need to first observe the surface area of that tank to understand immediately what kind of stocking levels that tank will allow you to use. I've always been a huge proponent of 55-gallon tanks, but the surface area of a 55-gallon tank is not the same as the surface area of a 50-gallon shorty. You could actually put many more fish in a 50-gallon short tank, a frag tank, than you can in a 55-gallon normal tank. All right, guys, we're at the hour mark. I hope something in this mixed stream of consciousness stream has been of use to someone. I hope that you all have a wonderful holiday season, and I hope that you all find a way to find a peaceful moment in the middle of it and just meditate on how wonderful it is to be in a situation where either family or friends or just your fellow man is around you and you get to experience the joy of that. All right, guys. Have a great holiday season. And good luck, YouTube.